You're 60 years old, you've worked for 40 years of your life building up your retirement pot, and you don't know if it's enough. You've probably heard terms like drawdown strategies, income sustainability, inflation risk, and that can be overwhelming, but there's actually a really simple way to show you whether you're in a position to retire or not. In this video, we show you exactly where you're at, if you're ready to retire, and if not, when you will be. Sign number one, your mortgage is paid off. The first sign you might be ready to retire is that you no longer have a mortgage. For most people, their mortgage is their biggest monthly expense in their lives. When that payment disappears, naturally the cost of living drops dramatically. I often see people focus entirely on how big their pension pot is, but they overlook the fact that removing a mortgage can reduce their required retirement income by tens of thousands a year. Someone who needed £50,000 a year before retirement might only need £35,000 a year once that mortgage is knocked off. Retirement is not about how much money you have, it's about how much income you need. If your mortgage is paid off, the amount that you need your investments to produce is way lower. That alone can move your retirement date forward by years and years. Now we know the difference having your mortgage paid off can make. Next, we'll look at why having a plan is so important. By the way, guys, if you're enjoying this video, please give it a like and subscribe to the channel for more retirement content. Sign number two, you know exactly where your money goes. The second sign is not about investments at all. It's about having a plan. You need to know exactly what your lifestyle is going to cost you. Many people think that they know what they spend, but when they actually track it, they're surprised. Some realise they spend far less than they thought. Others realise they're spending money on things that do not really matter to them. We've all been there. For example, the gym membership they rarely use, the subscriptions that made sense once but no longer fit their lifestyle, or the small daily spends that never felt significant on their own but add up significantly over a month. When you know what your lifestyle actually costs, you can answer the most important question in retirement. How much do I need each year to live well? Without that number, retirement's going to feel really scary. With it, retirement becomes much more measurable and you start to feel safe. Once we know what the number is, we might find we can actually retire far sooner than when we originally thought. If you want help finding out what your number is, click on the link below for a free 15-minute discovery call with one of our wealth planners. Okay, so now we know how knowing your number can bring your day forward. Next, let's look at what's coming in and what it can do for you. Sign number three, you have multiple streams of income. The third sign that you could be ready is that your retirement income does not rely on just one single source. People who retire confidently and positive about it usually have income coming from multiple different places. This might be a pension, an ISA, rental income, an annuity kicking in, or even some part-time or consulting income to supplement everything. Multiple income streams reduce pressure, which is good. It gives flexibility and reduces reliance on potentially having to sell investments at the wrong time. And they allow you to adjust as life changes, which we all know it will do. They create options and they don't leave you feeling constrained. If one source changes, you can lean on another without panic. Retirement becomes far more sustainable when your income is diversified. Now we see how having a diversified income can make a huge difference. Let's look at the benefit of diversification elsewhere. Sign number four, your investments are well diversified. The fourth sign you might be ready to retire is not about chasing returns. It's actually about the structure of them. I've met people with large portfolios who still could not retire, not because they lack the money, but rather their investments were concentrated in risky investments or they weren't structured very well. Volatility at the wrong time pushed their retirement further away. For example, imagine you retired in 2007, just before the global financial crisis. If 100% of your retirement money was invested in the S&P 500, your portfolio would have fallen by over 50% between 2007 and 2009. If you needed income during that period, it would have been very, very scary, and you would have had to have been forced to sell investments when they were down. And we know that that's going to permanently damage a retirement plan with what we call sequencing risk. Now compare that to someone who'd left or been sensible and left 2 or 3 years worth of expenditure in cash or cash alternatives, such as government bonds. They would have actually been in a really good position. During the 2008 crisis, while equities fell sharply, US government bonds actually rose as investors looked for safety. That meant they could draw income from the bond side of the portfolio and give their equities time to recover, which they did in 2010 and 2011. They did not avoid market volatility. That's almost impossible. They avoided having to sell at the worst possible time by having enough in cash to cover near-term spending requirements. This is why diversification matters most in retirement. It's not about avoiding downturns. You're going to really struggle to do that. It's not about timing the market. It's about having options when they happen and not having to force sell. A well-structured portfolio gives you somewhere to draw income from even when markets are uncomfortable. Now that we can see why diversification of investments is so important, finally, let's look if you can actually access your retirement pot. Sign number 5, can you access your retirement savings? The 5th sign is often misunderstood. Can you actually access your retirement money? Many people assume retirement only becomes available or possible to people who are 65 or older. They're usually thinking about the state pension or social security in the US kicking in. For most people, that starts around the age of 67. That is just when the government starts paying you a state pension. It is not the age you're allowed to retire at. In theory, you can retire whenever. Your own savings work differently, of course. Most private pensions can be accessed from your mid-50s, your IRA from 59 and a half. ISAs can obviously be accessed at any time, and brokerage accounts are the same. So if your money is in the right places, you do not have to wait for a specific birthday to stop working. When your savings are structured correctly, you gain options. You can bridge the gap, you can retire gradually, and you can reduce hours instead of stopping overnight. Retirement does not have to be a cliff edge. If you recognised yourself in several of these signs, you might be closer to retirement than you think. Retirement is not about hitting a magic number, it's about balance. When your lifestyle, income and structure are aligned, retirement becomes a decision. It starts to feel a lot less risky. If you want help understanding where you stand, how close you are, or what needs to change, make sure you watch the next video. And if this was useful, please like the video, subscribe to the channel, and let us know in the comments which of these 5 signs you are closest to. Thanks very much for watching.